Well, hello and welcome to another hardcore Nuzlocke. Today I want to attempt a run of Pokemon SoulSilver using only Ice-type Pokemon. This tends to be Game Freak's least favorite Pokemon, and there are a lot of reasons that make Nuzlockes with Ice types very difficult. First and foremost, they are the least abundant type. That's why I said they're Game Freak's least favorite. It's kind of weird if you think about it. Water type tends to be Game Freak's favorite type of Pokemon, being the most abundant, and ice is, well, frozen water. Interesting. Nonetheless, the ice type doesn't have a lot of stuff going for it. It has four common weaknesses to Pokemon like fire, fighting, steel, and rock. That is one thing that makes it difficult to run. The other, and probably the biggest problem with ice type Pokemon, is they tend to be in one singulatory area towards the end of the game. Case in point, Ice Path that we don't get access to until after the 7th gym. If we take a look at the encounters that we have available to us, we technically don't get an Ice-type encounter until after the 4th gym. Beating Morty, getting ourselves access to Surf, we can get the static Lapras encounter in the Union Cave. That is going to make things very, very difficult for us to do this run, but of course, I have a plan. The plan is two-part. First part being Pokewalker, second part being Universal Randomizer. With the Pokewalker, we can get access to the Dim Cave, and that will give us access to a level 12 Smoochum. Unfortunately, that puts us way too close to the level cap, so that's not going to be a viable encounter for us. Luckily, there was an event in the Amity Meadow where we can get ourselves a level 5 Smoochum that has some decent moves such as Pound, Lick, and Ice Punch, and that is going to be the better way to get an encounter. The other thing that we can of course do is use the Universal Randomizer to change one of our starters. I think by changing a starter and grabbing ourselves the Pokewalker encounter is going to be our best option, considering we don't get another Pokemon until after the 4th gym. So I went ahead and changed our starter to Delibird. Some of you may be thinking that is an odd choice, and you are correct. This is a very odd choice. Delibird, did you know, is actually a SoulSilver exclusive. You cannot catch this thing in Heart Gold, which is why we are playing this game. With the Delibird and the Smoochum that we are going to get our hands on, we now have guaranteed our encounter in the Ice Path to be a Swinub, and with giving ourselves Duke here, we actually get 6 total encounters that we can use to get ourselves through the entirety of the Johto region. Let's go ahead and take a look at our starter here. Duke has a naughty plus attack and minus special defense nature. That's pretty funny considering this thing is the Santa Pokemon. The hardest thing about running a Delibird early game is the fact that it only learns Present via level up. Present has an accuracy of 90, meaning it misses 10% of the time, and then the way that Present works is 10% of the time we can hit with a base 120 damage move, 30% of the time it's base 80, 40% of the time it's base 40, and 20% of the time it heals the opponent. This battle with our rival I never typically show because it's normally trivial at best. But having a Pokemon like Duke with the move Present, things could get really crazy really fast. Now the reason I've grabbed Duke as our starter and eventually I'm going to give myself the event Smoochum is so that Duke can soak up the mandatory EVs from the mandatory battles like this one with our rival. This will allow me to do some serious EV training with Smoochum, and that's going to be key for some upcoming gyms. This was a hard game to plan for. Now, you've noticed that I've given our rival Chikorita, and there is a reason for that as well. I'm going to have a hard enough time getting through the first 4 gyms of this game with just these 2 Pokemon. I don't need the rival to be any more difficult than he's already going to be. We make our way back to Professor Elm's lab, and there is a cop here who is trying to incriminate us for the stolen Pokemon. That doesn't make any sense. Lyric runs in, saving our butt, saying it wasn't us. Professor Elm, a world-renowned Pokemon professor, just stands there with the dumbest look on his face, not saying a word. Thank you. Anyway, we get to nickname our rival Algorithm because we are trying to beat the algorithm both in-game and in real life. As far as the in-game algorithm goes, that is a solo mission on me, but the real-life algorithm, I need your help to beat. And how can you help me beat it, you may ask? It is very simple. You can hit the like button, You can comment on this video, you can subscribe, you can hit the notification bell, you can share this video with your friends. Any and all interactions with the channel help out a ton. Thank you guys for the continued support. It is so appreciated because without your likes and views and comments, it would just be me sitting in my basement talking to myself, and they would put me in a self-hugging jacket for that, and we don't want that. If you guys check the description down below, there are a couple of links. I have a Discord if you guys want to join that and continue some conversations. There's a Patreon that I set up for like a tip jar type thing if you guys are interested. Of course, not mandatory. Now, before we get started on our run, it is imperative that anytime you do a Generation 4 Johto run, you gotta go talk to your mom and you gotta save money. As a matter of fact, if you do the Gen 2 runs, you should save some money. She can get us some really great items like the Silk Scarf, the Choice Scarf, or a Focus Sash. And I really need all of those items. Right after that, Lyra shows us how to catch Pokemon and gives us Pokeballs, and this marks the official start of our run. The Sprout Tower is mandatory here in the Gen 4 remakes, and I climbed the entire tower with Duke. It was a great training ground, giving him a bunch of attack EVs, and that is why we have Duke as our starter. I've given myself Elsa from the Amity Meadow. This level 5 Smoochum has a hasty plus speed minus defense nature, and of course there is a nickname theme. Can you guys guess it? The plus speed is going to be great. With some EV training, hopefully we can outspeed Morty's Gengar. That is one of the biggest threats that we have coming up. As a matter of fact, Faulkner and his flying types are going to be relatively easy. Bugsy Scyther is very scary. Whitney's Miltank is also very scary. And then Morty's Gengar could potentially wipe us at any point. So I have to do the maximum EV training on Elsa here, which is why we have Duke collecting all the mandatory EVs. I'm going to do a little bit of EV training in the Sprout Tower at night here for special attack, and then we're going to head back to Route 29 and get as many speed EVs as we can. We do need maximum speed EVs before we get to Morty, so we're going to continue to do speed EV training in between the different gym battles, keeping Elsa at whatever level cap is needed and Duke taking on the mandatory trainers. We've done some speed EV training and a little bit of special attack EV training, and also learned the special move Icy Wind, which is very nice, because a single Icy Wind is going to be enough to one-shot both of Faulkner's Pokemon, and this is going to be the only easy battle we have. Pidgey goes down in a single attack, and of course we've edged ourselves to level 14, so we gain a level as the Pidgeotto comes out. Because of the speed EV training, though, we outspeed the Pidgeotto and can take it out with a single Icy Wind, winning us our first gym badge. The experience point management is not too bad. We could avoid every single trainer between Violet City and Azalea. No trainer is mandatory on any of the routes or Union Cave. The thing that you have to remember is the trainers that you have avoided. Because I keep going back to Route 29 to do speed EV training, I'm going to have to avoid those trainers as we make our way back and forth. Luckily we have Duke, so we can shed off the mandatory battles. That's why Duke's in the front of the party right now, because we're about to go do the Slowpoke Well event. Bugsy Scyther is going to be a problem. I don't think we outspeed it yet, but it has priority quick attack that is boosted from Technician. It also has U-turn. I think I can survive either one as a non-critical hit. I don't know. We're outsped and Scyther goes for Focus Energy, which is perfectly fine, and we connect with Sweet Kiss. Hopefully we get some Confusion luck. Of course our luck can't be that good because Scyther breaks through Confusion to tag us with a Leer. Now it doesn't matter what happens. If we get hit with a single attack, we're going to lose Elsa. But Elsa is an absolute monster, firing off a critical hit Icy Wind to take out the Scyther. The speed drop from Icy Wind wouldn't have mattered anyway because, again, priority quick attack. I really should have swapped out as the Metapod came out to save myself a little bit of experience points, but I decided just to finish off the battle, one-shotting the Metapod with Icy Wind and one-shotting the Kakuna with a stab, super effective Confusion. Hindsight is always 20/20. As we leave Azalea Town, we have a battle with Algo. I should have swapped Elsa in the Bugsy battle out when the Metapod came out to save a little bit of experience, because we are going to overlevel in this battle if I don't pay attention. We can easily wipe through his team with Elsa, Elsa is the powerhouse that's going to get us through the gyms, so if she overlevels here, we are done for. A stab super effective confusion takes out the Ghastly, and as the Zubat comes out, it falls the exact same way to a stab super effective confusion. Bayleaf comes out, and I go ahead and fire off an Icy Wind. I know it's not going to one-shot, but we do get that speed lowering, and it sets up Reflect. I don't know if I'm going to overlevel here because I'm not 100% sure on the experience points, so I swap in Duke. Duke avoids a Razor Leaf on the swap in and then fires off a Present that doesn't quite KO the Bayleaf, leaving it on a sliver of health, and then we get hit with a Poison Powder. The very next turn, Present does what Present does and heals the Bayleaf, and then Bayleaf goes for Synthesis, bringing this thing up almost to full health. I go ahead and swap Elsa back in since we've already shared the experience, and Bayleaf heals itself to full with Synthesis. I then fire off an Icy Wind, dropping this thing to low yellow health. It misses a Poison Powder, and we can fire off another Icy Wind, taking out the Bayleaf, not overleveling, and winning the battle. Getting to Goldenrod does net us a few upgrades for the team. In the Ilex Forest, I did use that move tutor to teach Duke Headbutt, which is very nice. Despite it only having a single level up move, it does learn some TMs, which makes it a viable Pokemon on the team eventually. Now, heading up to the 5th floor on Sunday, there is a lady that will give us the TM for return, provided we have a Pokemon with a high enough friendship, and that is going to be a huge upgrade for Duke. Luckily, we have enough of a friendship, so we get our hands on the return TM. The next upgrade, of course, is in the game corner, and we are going to have to play Voltorb Flip ad nauseam. Yeah, we need 10,000 coins to get our hands on the Ice Beam TM. That is going to be a huge upgrade for Elsa. With as much preparation as we can muster, it is now time to take on Whitney. I'm still not emotionally prepared for this battle, but there's nothing else we can do. Her Clefairy is a very dangerous Pokemon and should not be counted out. With Metronome being able to pull any move, anything can happen. I did teach Reflect via TM from the department store, so we set that up turn 1, and Clefairy goes for Mimic, which is best case scenario. Double Slap would have been okay as well. Ice Beam does a lot of damage to the Clefairy, taking it into low yellow health, and it gets a clutch freeze. I'm actually glad this happened on the Clefairy and not the Miltank, because the Miltank has a Lumberry. One more Ice Beam takes out the Clefairy. This means we go into the Miltank portion of this battle damageless. Now, Miltank fires off a Stomp because it outspeeds us, doing a decent amount of damage, but with that Reflect helping immensely. We can then fire off an Icy Wind that does a little bit of damage to Miltank, but more importantly gets the speed drop. We now outspeed the Miltank and hit it with a nasty Ice Beam to low yellow health and get hit with another Stomp down to 11 HP. Again, Reflect coming in clutch, and no critical hit is very nice. Citrus Berry heals us back up to 24 HP, and then Whitney uses a Super Potion. That's a bit scary. We do fire off an Ice Beam, taking Miltank below half, and now we need to hope for a high roll, which we get, taking out the Miltank with one more Ice Beam, defeating Whitney. Before I head back to Route 29 to try to max out my speed EVs, we have a rival battle with Algo in the Burned Tower. This is a mandatory battle, and Elsa's going to do a lot better at this battle than Duke would. I fire off a Stab super effective Confusion to take out the Ghastly turn 1. Turn 2, the Zubat comes out and falls to a Stab super effective Confusion as well. Bayleaf then comes out and it falls to a Stab super effective Ice Beam, and this just leaves our rival's newest Pokemon, Magnemite. I go ahead and fire off an Ice Beam to this Pokemon because I don't have anything else, and we get a freeze. That is absolutely clutch. We fire off another Ice Beam, taking out his entire team, completely damageless. You meet Bill in the Ecruteak Pokemon Center, and if you follow him back to Goldenrod, he will gift you an Eevee. Now, it's too bad that this isn't the later generations where we can evolve this thing with an Ice Stone. No, what we would have to do with this Pokemon is trade it over to Diamond, Pearl, or Platinum, head all the way up towards Snow Point City, evolve this thing into a Glaceon, and then trade it back to ourselves here in SoulSilver, and that's just not something I'm going to do. It would be a great addition to the team, but I think I'll save Glaceon for a future run. There's actually an event in this game where if you have a Jirachi in your party, you can get the TM for Psychic. Elsa learns it at level 35, otherwise we would have to wait till Kanto. I still didn't give myself Psychic. The plan here is to set up Reflect and Light Screen against the Ghastly and hope that we outspeed the Gengar and it doesn't go for Sucker Punch. We also need Ghastly to not use Curse as we set up Reflected Light Screen, which we get lucky with a Spite and a Mean Look. Again, this battle is pretty RNG based. If we wiped here, we would just get back to this battle, hopefully, and probably just give ourselves Psychic. Now, when doing my calculations, I was mistaken. Ice Beam is base 143 damage here. Confusion is actually base 150. I wasn't calculating stab and super effectiveness correctly, so I was going for Ice Beam in this battle where Confusion would have done a little bit more damage. It doesn't matter. Either way, we outspeed and one-shot both Haunters and the Ghastly. With the level up to level 26 and the speed EVs that I've invested, which is almost max, not quite, we're going to be able to outspeed the Gengar by just a little bit. Luckily, Gengar doesn't go for Sucker Punch turn 1, and we do quite a bit of damage, taking Gengar all the way down to its Citrus Berry. It then goes for Shadow Ball, and because of the light screen, luckily Shadow Ball doesn't get a critical hit and doesn't one-shot us. Again, without the light screen, that would not have mattered. Reflect wears off, and Gengar still doesn't go for Sucker Punch, so we're able to take it out with another Ice Beam. The AI is very weird in how it decides to do its moves, so we got very lucky in this battle, and we didn't lose Elsa. Haunter then comes out, and we're going to outspeed this thing and one-shot it with Ice Beam. I did teach Duke Ice Beam just in case Elsa fell in this battle, so that we could continue the run at this point, because now we've unlocked a couple of new encounters. In the Union Cave on Fridays, there is a static Lapras encounter, and you guys know as well as I know that this is an absolutely monster of a Pokemon. Being a great special attacker, and if it has shell armor, it can't be crit. That would be awesome. With availability of stab moves like Surf and Ice Beam, this thing is great, and then coverage moves like Psychic and Thunderbolt, it is a very well-rounded Pokemon and is going to be a welcome addition to the team. However, it has a very low catch rate, so we need to do a little bit of damage to this Pokemon and hopefully catch it. Return takes it down to about half, and I'm worried about knocking this thing out, so I switch it up for Headbutt, taking it into low yellow health as we get confused. I've bought as many Gray Balls as I possibly can, a total of 28. With that and the 4 Pokeballs and the fastball that we have, hopefully is enough to catch the Lapras. Now, I don't know what kind of luck I've got in this run because we catch this thing on the very first Great Ball, and that does make me very nervous that our luck is going to run out and things are going to go south. But we can't dwell on that too much. We shove Lapras on the team, nickname it Anna, and Anna has a lax plus defense minus special defense nature, and the shell armor ability, which is absolutely amazing. We then run into Balba as we're heading to Olivine. This isn't that critical. I don't need the Safari Zone, but after we heal the Ampharos, we can actually make our way to the Safari Zone, and the route heading to the Safari Zone has a potential encounter for us. But before any of that happens, in Olivine, we need to talk to this fisherman so we can get our hands on the Good Rod. Heading to Route 41 with our Good Rod, we can actually fish up our next encounter at a 4% chance, Shelter. This took over half an hour to find this damn Pokemon. And it's not even an Ice type. We have to evolve it into a Cloyster for it to be an Ice type, which means we're going to have to go do some Pokeathlon stuff to get ourselves a Water Stone, and I am so tired of grinding. I think what I'm going to end up doing is catch this Pokemon, and we're going to shove it in the box for now. I don't need it in any of the upcoming battles. I think we will go ahead and grind out the Pokeathlon Dome stuff around the time we do the Team Rocket stuff, because all of that is pretty grindy. This has just been one hell of a grindy run, and right now I'm just a little fizzled. Realizing that I need a Water Stone for this encounter. I didn't think about it up until this point. No matter, we do catch this Pokemon and shove it on the team. We, of course, nickname it Kristoff, because there's a nickname theme. Kristoff has a Brave plus attack and minus speed nature. Not great with the minus speed, but the shell armor ability is amazing. We then climb the lighthouse and get to the top where we can talk to my sweet and lovely Jasmine. She of course needs our help with the sick Ampharos, and because we are absolutely smitten by this individual, we're heading to Olivine to get a secret potion. Before getting the secret potion and healing up the Ampharos, we're going to take on Chuck, and you guys may know a couple of things. Number one, Elsa is still a Smoochum. That's because it doesn't learn Psychic as a Jinx, it learns it as a Smoochum at level 35. The next thing you'll notice is that I actually have Duke in the lead for this battle. On Route 40, we found the TM for Pluck, and I believe I can one-shot the Primeape and two-shot the Poliwrath. So we're going to give Duke a little bit of screen time. Unfortunately, we don't quite one-shot the Primeape. I believe this thing has Rock Slide, so why it went for Leer, I don't know. Rock Slide would have easily KO'd us. And let's be honest, if I lost Duke here, is it really a loss? After a Hyper Potion, we fire off another Pluck that takes Primeape right back down to low red health. And then for whatever reason, the animation for Focus Punch is priority, so we get to see that, and then we take it out with another Pluck. They're not going to be able to do anything with Focus Punch, because we're always going to be attacking. Poliwrath comes out, tightens its focus, and we hit it with a Pluck that takes it well below half of its health, and we steal its Citrus Berry, which is absolutely amazing. It then, of course, doesn't attack us because we attacked it. It goes for another Focus Punch, tightening its focus, rather, and we take it out with a Pluck. That was a very good showing from Duke in this battle. With the secret potion in hand, we can now head up to the top of the lighthouse and give it to Jasmine so she can heal up the Ampharos. The best part of the game is we get to spend a little bit of time with our beloved Jasmine. After we leave the lighthouse, we are going to get a call from Bauba saying that the Safari Zone is open, so this nets us another potential encounter. Again, it's not in the Safari Zone, it's the route leading to the Safari Zone. Surfing on Route 47 nets us our next potential encounter, a seal. Just like the Shelter before it, of course, this thing is not an ice type until it evolves into Dugong. No matter, we're going to chuck some Great Balls at this thing till we eventually catch it. Sticking with the nickname theme, we nickname it Hans, and taking a look at Hans, it has a naughty, plus attack, and minus special defense nature. The Lake of Rage then houses for us one of the best items in the game, the Choice Specs. You know, taking on the shiny Gyarados just brings back so many memories. For a lot of people, this was the first shiny that they ever found or ever fought. Again, Anna is a great Pokemon, and as I said before, with a coverage move like Thunderbolt, she's going to one-shot this shiny Gyarados out of existence. The thing about this battle is after we defeat the Gyarados, we get our hands on a red scale, and the red scale is another important item to grab here at the Lake of Rage. Because we can head back to Mr. Pokemon's house and trade this thing for an experience share. It's going to make training up the Seal and the Shelter that we've got recently much, much easier. My favorite part of any Johto run is watching Lance use a Dragonite to kill a man. Johto is such a feral land. Every time I play this game, I'm just reminded at how primitive this region is. After beating most of the trainers in the Rocket Hideout, we finally have an evolution of Hans evolving into a Dugong, so it can be the 4th official member on the team. Even though Price is the 7th gym leader, the level caps dictate that he is the 6th gym leader, and also our ultimate rival being a fellow Ice-type trainer. Against his Pokemon, though, Anna is going to do some serious damage. With the coverage move of Thunderbolt, we can easily one-shot the Seal. Piloswine comes out next, Piloswine, whatever. It goes down to a stab, super effective Surf. And last out for Price is his Dugong. Dugong is a bit more bulky, so it survives a single super effective Thunderbolt, but just hits us with a fairly weak Aurora Beam, and we can take it out with another super effective Thunderbolt. With the level cap being 35, we can do some more training. Elsa getting to level 35, so it finally learns the beastly move Psychic. And with that move finally being taught, we now have a massive evolution on the team. Elsa evolving into a Jinx. Finally. 6 gyms in our pocket before we could evolve this Pokemon. I remember the first time playing through these remake games and these trainers coming up to me like that, it actually tricked me. Because Jasmine didn't have any trainers in her gym, and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to battle some trainers. It's a neat little touch. I wish I could have battled some trainers, though. But now that we've done all these different events and everything is good with Ampharos, we finally have the opportunity to actually take on Jasmine, the 6th, technically 7th gym leader, and her steel type. Once again, I don't have a super effective move into her Magnemites, but Ana is an absolute beast of a Pokemon. With the choice specs equipped, we're going to fire off a Stab Surf that is easily going to one-shot the Magnemite. The second Magnemite comes out and it too falls to a Stab Choice Specs boosted Surf, and this just leaves Jasmine's Steelix. Steelix is one of the most defensively bulky Pokemon, but when it comes to special attacks, it can't hold up. And a single stab, super effective Choice Specs boosted Surf one-shots the Steelix, winning us a very easy 7th gym battle. If you guys ever find your DS glitching out like this, it is a very, very simple fix. All you have to do is save your game, which takes more time than I care to admit. With the speed up, it does make things a little bit faster. Good luck finding that button on your DS, it's kind of tricky to find. But after you save your game on your DS keyboard, you can hit Control R, and that will reset your game, and then you just reload your save file, and now your sprite and everything is perfectly fine. I kind of bypassed all of the radio tower rocket stuff. Petrol was no problem with Stab super effective psychics from Elsa. And Algo really is not going to be difficult, but we have a battle with him in the rocket hideout basement nonetheless. I am leading Hans, just because I was doing some training on Hans. We can take out the Golbat with a Stab super effective Ice Beam. Out next is Megadium, who falls to a Stab super effective Ice Beam as well. Magnemite comes out next. Again, I don't have a super effective move against this thing, so we just fire off a Stab Surf, and it does one-shot. Haunter is out next, and it too falls to a single Surf. And last but not least is his newest Pokemon, Sneasel. It does outspeed us to hit us with a Feint Attack, but Hans is pretty bulky, we tank it very well. Surf doesn't quite one-shot, so we have to tank another Feint Attack, right down to about half health, and one more Surf takes out the Sneasel. After the rocket grind, I decide to head back to the Pokeathlon Dome to do a little bit of grinding there, getting myself a Waterstone, evolving Kristoff into a Cloyster. Finally. This brings us to the Ice Path, where the only potential encounter we have is Swinub. This is our last potential encounter before the Elite Four, and this will round out the team to 6 Pokemon. Now, Swinub, whatever you guys want to call him, gets caught in the very first Ultra Ball. And just like everybody else, sticking with the name theme, I nicknamed this thing Olaf. And if you haven't guessed the nickname theme, it is the characters from Frozen. This is a pretty easy one this week. Olaf has a quirky neutral nature. I will absolutely 100% take that. Doing a little bit of training with Olaf, we can quickly evolve this thing into a Piloswine. Then in Blackthorn, with the move Reminderer, we can teach Piloswine Ancient Power, gain a single level, and evolve Olaf into a beastly Mamoswine. What a Pokemon. Last up for the Johto Gym Leaders is Claire. Though we have super effective moves into most of her team, we shouldn't count this as a win just yet. I do lead Kristoff against the Gyarados. We soak up the Intimidate, which doesn't matter because we're not here to attack. We do get outsped and hit with a Dragon Rage doing 40 HP of damage, and then we set up a layer of Toxic Spikes. That is the reason that we are here. One more Dragon Rage takes us to 21 HP, and we set up a second layer of Spikes. I then swap into Ana, who tanks a Dragon Pulse on the swap-in, and then can fire off a quad super effective Thunderbolt, taking out the Gyarados. The first Dragonair comes out and gets badly poisoned. That doesn't matter, a Stab super effective Ice Beam takes it out. The second Dragonair comes out, and it's just a repeat of what happened moments ago. This just leaves Claire's Kingdra. And this is the reason we set up the spikes, so it could get badly poisoned as it comes in. We get outsped and hit with the Dragon Pulse, doing a decent amount of damage, but we fire off a Confuse Ray. After a little bit of chip from poison, Kingdra hurts itself in confusion, and then Ice Beam takes Kingdra into middle yellow health. Citrus Berry pulls it back up to half, and then the poison damage takes it below half. Kingdra then snaps out of confusion and hits us with a smokescreen, which is very annoying, but no matter, we fire off a Stab Ice Beam that takes out the Kingdra. After beating Claire, we had to do the Dragon's Den stuff, and then of course we have to take on these Kimono Girls. Then we have to go crawl through the Whirl Islands to find Lugia. Then we can make our way to the Victory Road. Of course, we have one more battle with Algo there. Then we can finally make our way to the Indigo Plateau, taking on the Pokemon League. So we still got a good length of the game left. The reason I'm showing these Kimono Girl battles is, as you see, they can be pretty difficult. Umbreon's very bulky, and of course Espeon hits very hard on the special side. These evolutions, though there's only one per Kimono Girl, are a pretty dangerous battle because they are 5 battles back to back where you can't heal in between the battles. So, though we're not going to lose a single Pokemon in this run, things can get pretty dicey if you're not prepared. I do want all 6 of these Pokemon to make it to the league. I don't know that we're going to use all 6 of them in the battle with the Elite Four or the champion, but I still would love to see this team make it. They've made it this far. Luckily for us, the Kimono Girls do go down and we don't lose a single Pokemon. We do all the Whirl Island stuff, we battle Lugia and make our way to the end of Victory Road where we have one final battle with Algo. Though he's got a full team, this isn't going to be hard for us to defeat. Sneasel goes down in a couple of surfs, we tank a feint attack very nicely. We then fire off a stab super effective Ice Beam to take out the Meganium. Magneton doesn't quite go down to a surf, so we get hit with a Thunder Wave, which is very annoying, and then we stay paralyzed for a couple of turns. Finally taking that thing out with a surf. Haunter goes down to a surf. Kadabra comes out and I decide let's swap out because we've taken too much damage. Earthquake takes out the Kadabra, and this just leaves his Golbat, which goes down to a priority Ice Shard. Very easy. And here is the team all leveled up and ready to take on the Elite Four. Starting out, we have Olaf, the Mamoswine, with Ice Shard, Ice Fang, Earthquake, and Hail. Next up is Hans, the Dugong, with Surf, Ice Beam, Rest, and Signal Beam. Kristoff, the Cloyster, with Avalanche, Clamp, Protect, and Toxic Spikes. Then we have Duke, the Delibird, with Return, Thief, Protect, and Pluck. What a moveset. Next up is Anna, the Lapras, with Surf, Ice Beam, Confuse Ray, and Thunderbolt. And rounding out the team is Elsa, the Jinx, with Ice Beam, Psychic, Lovely Kiss, and Shadow Ball. You'll notice that Elsa is at level 45. That is because we're going to be using her quite a bit in the Elite Four, and I want her to stay under level 50. Against the first 3 members of the Elite Four, Elsa, equipped with the choice specs and a specific move, is going to be able to one-shot and sweep the teams. For Will and his psychic types, we have the choice specs with Shadow Ball. His first Xatu falls to a specs-boosted Shadow Ball. His Ace Xatu comes out and falls immediately to a super effective Shadow Ball. Executor comes out and falls to a single Shadow Ball. Their mirror match against Jinx proves us to be the superior Jinx, falling to a single Shadow Ball, and then Slowbro is last but certainly not least and falls to a single specs boosted super effective Shadow Ball. Up next for the Elite Four is Koga and his poison types. Of course, we are going to use Psychic and one-shot most of his Pokemon. Maybe not Fortress, I don't know. Ariados falls to a specs boosted stab super effective Psychic. Out next, of course, is Muck, which falls to a specs boosted stab super effective Psychic. Fortress then comes out next, and this is the only Pokemon I'm a little bit worried about because Psychic doesn't one-shot it. It just goes for Swift, which is perfectly fine. If it had gone for Explosion, things would have been a little bit different, but we take it out with another Psychic. Crobat we actually outspeed and one-shot with Psychic. And last but not least is Venomoth, who goes down to a single specs-boosted stab, super effective Psychic. The critical hit didn't matter. Third up for the Elite Four is Bruno and his fighting types. He used to have 2 Onix in the Elite Four of Kanto. Now he has given up one of those Onix for a Hitmontop. It doesn't matter. Every one of these fighting types is going to go down to a stab super effective specs boosted Psychic, and the Onix is going to fall the same way despite it not being super effective. Hitmontop goes down, Onix comes out next and falls to a single Psychic as I stated moments ago. Next up is Hitmonlee, who falls to a super effective Psychic. Hitmonchan then is out next and falls to a single Psychic. And last but not least is Machamp, who is outsped and one-shot with a stab super effective Psychic. Karen and her Dark types mark the end of Elsa's reign of terror in the Elite Four. I could probably still take out Karen with Elsa, but I'd rather not lose a Pokemon unnecessarily, so we lead Olaf. Olaf fires off a nasty Earthquake. Though Umbreon is very, very bulky, it still does a lot of damage, well over half of its health. Umbreon just goes for double team, which is a bit annoying, but we break through that +1 evasion and fire off another Earthquake, knocking out Umbreon. Houndoom is out next, and we can take this thing out with a stab, super effective, soft sand boosted Earthquake. Vileplume comes out third for Karen, and we fire off a stab, super effective Ice Fang that easily one-shots it. Gengar comes out and outspeeds us going for Spite, which is random. Ice Fang does well over half of Gengar's health, and then we can outspeed it with a priority Ice Shard, knocking it out. Murkrow is last for Karen, and Olaf is showing what a beast of a Pokemon it is, going for a priority Ice Shard, one-shotting the Murkrow, never taking a tick of damage. Now you would think it would be a one-shot sweep city from Anna against Champion Lance, but unfortunately that's not the case. We can't quite one-shot the Gyarados with a Thunderbolt unless it's boosted from an item, and the item I need is actually the Choice Scarf so we can up our speed. It's a bit risky to have Elsa out here against the Gyarados. I know Psychic is going to do over half of its health, but then we have to risk a critical hit from a Waterfall. Luckily, we go unpunished and we survive on 10 HP of health, and then take out the Gyarados with another Psychic. This brings out the Aerodactyl. I knew it would come out next, but we're baiting out a random move as we swap into Olaf, who tanks a Crunch on the swap in very well. The defense drop is a bit annoying, but we can fire off an Ice Shard and it does a lot of damage, well over half of Aerodactyl's health. We then tank a Rock Slide on 39 HP. The defense drop made that way worse than it should have been, and a critical hit would have taken us out. Another priority Ice Shard takes out the Aerodactyl, and this baits in Charizard. I swap in to Hans, who tanks a Dragon Claw on the swap in very well, and then fires off a Surf that can one-shot. That leaves the Charizard on a sliver of health. We then get hit with an Air Slash down to 70 HP, and Lance goes for a full restore. Our Surf this time gets a critical hit and one-shots the Charizard. The first Dragonite comes out, so I swap into Anna. Anna tanks a Dragon Rush very well on the swap in. Again, a critical hit would have taken us out, but with the Choice Scarf equipped, we now outspeed all of the Dragonites and can one-shot them with a Stab, quad super effective Ice Beam. The second Dragonite comes out and falls to a quad super effective Stab Ice Beam, and Lance's Ace Dragonite comes out last, and we take it out with a Stab, super effective, quad super effective Ice Beam, rather. And that's it. That is the Johto games completed. Technically, at this point, we have beaten the run and the Ice types have beaten SoulSilver. Now, I know a lot of you guys want to see the Kanto portion of this, so we are going to jump into just that. Now, before we head over to Kanto, there are quite a few things that we need to do. The first one is, of course, we're going to talk to Professor Elm. He's going to give us the SS ticket and tell us to head to Olivine, which is where we need to head to anyway, because the Battle Frontier is now open, and with a bunch of grinding, we can get access to a lot of different upgrades for our team, such as Energy Ball for Elsa here, Brick Break for Duke, Stone Edge for Olaf. We can teach Duke a Seed Bomb. We can teach Kristoff Dive. Superpower to Olaf as well. There are many things that we can also get, such as the Choice Band, Choice Scarf, things like that. At this point, we've also opened up the placing of items inside of the Safari Zone. So if we wanted to, we could go do all of that, and there is technically another encounter available to us at the Safari Zone. It is a Spheal, and we do have to wait 40 days to get it, so I don't think that's actually going to be an encounter that we get. Via the Pokewalker, we have actually opened up 2 other encounters for us with a post-game area, that is Snorunt and Snover. Because I already have a Pokewalker encounter, I'm not going to get those encounters either. The only other Ice-type encounter that we can get is not until after we beat the 8 gyms of Kanto and get ourselves to Mount Silver. We can then run into a Sneasel, but that's a lot of work and a very late encounter we'd have to do a ton of grinding with, so I think, honestly, we're going to see if these 6 Pokemon can run through the entirety of Kanto and take on Red at the top of Mount Silver. When I played these games, I played through Pokemon Silver, but still, getting to Vermilion City and walking across this little bridge is a huge wave of nostalgia that I just love every time I play through these runs.
Now, getting to Kanto, most Nuzlockers that I've seen, they set the level cap to level 53, and then they just start taking on gym leaders in any order. Typically starting with Surge here in Vermilion, then heading up to Saffron to take on Sabrina, Erica, Misty, so on and so forth. We're not going to do that. There is an actual order via level cap to these Kanto gym leaders, starting with Janine in Fuchsia City. Her level cap is 50. Then Lieutenant Surge with a level cap of 53. Next up is Brock and Misty with a level cap of 54 each. Then Sabrina with a level cap of 55, Erica with 56, and Blaine with 59. Of course, Blue is the final gym leader with a level cap of 60, and that is the order in which we are going to do these. None of these gym leaders are going to be difficult, though. Stab super effective psychics are going to take out each and every one of Janine's Pokemon, and again, this is the reason that I was at such a low level when we went into the Elite Four, because I wanted Elsa for this battle. There's not much else to say, other than psychics one-shot every single one of her teammates. Lieutenant Surge could pose a challenge to most of our team, but we have Olaf that is immune to electric-type moves. Combo that with the Choice Scarf and a stab super effective move in Earthquake, we can outspeed and one-shot every single one of his Pokemon, which is absolutely insane, seeing Olaf outspeed an Electrode. Isn't that crazy? Misty is up third for the Kanto gym leaders. She throws a little bit of a curveball. We lead Anna, who can take out the Golduck with a single Thunderbolt, but then Quagsire comes out, so I swap into Duke. Duke was taught Seed Bomb. A quad super effective Seed Bomb takes out the Quagsire, and out comes a Lapras. So we pivot back into our own Lapras, who tanks an Ice Beam very well. Lapras doesn't go down to a single Thunderbolt. After a full restore, 2 Thunderbolts take it out, and this just leaves Starmie. Misty was never really a challenge. We do get outsped and hit with Confuse Ray, so this prolongs what happens, but eventually we win. Brock and his rock types could pose a very big threat, but again, with Elsa and Energy Ball, it's quad super effective against all of his teammates, so they are going to go down. We have the Choice Specs equipped for that added little bit of damage, but that's just insult to injury. Omastar does try to hang on with a Protect, but other than that, his team goes down very, very easy. Against Sabrina, again, it's Elsa, Choice Specs, Shadow Ball. We're going to easily sweep this team. Espeon gets outsped in one shot with Shadow Ball. Alakazam gets outsped in one shot. Mr. Mime surprisingly survives a Shadow Ball and then sets up a Light Screen, which is annoying. The full restore and 2 more Shadow Balls take it out with the help of a special defense drop. Against Erica, I decide to lead Hans. Victory Bell has Ancient Power, so I figured this would be the better bet. Put the Choice Specs on Hans and fire off Ice Beams to one-shot her entire team. Jumpluff, Tangela, Bellossom, they all go down to a single Ice Beam. The only Pokemon I was worried about was Victory Bell, but it falls to a single stab super effective Ice Beam. Last up for this mini boss rush is Blaine, and any one of our water types could have taken him on, but I decided to go with the strongest, Anna. She easily takes out the Magcargo with a quad super effective Surf. Magmar goes down to a Surf as well, and Rapidash actually outspeeds to hit us with an Overheat, but is then one-shot with a super effective Surf. Last for the Kanto gym leaders is Blue. Now, Blue is very dangerous with his non-monotype team. He has a no-guard Machamp that I am very, very worried about, so I lead Hans against the Executor to hopefully bait out Machamp next. We can take out the Executor with a Nevermelt boosted Stab super effective Ice Beam, and we do bait out the Machamp. The plan here is to swap into Elsa, which may seem very weird as she gets hit with a no-guard Dynamic Punch. But we hang on with 1 HP because of our Focus Sash that we got from our mom. The confusion is a bit worrisome, but we have to risk it, and we break through to fire off a Twisted Spoon boosted Stab super effective Psychic, one-shotting the Machamp. That was insane. Arcanine comes out next, and we swap into Anna, who gets hit with an extreme speed on the swap-in, and then can fire off a Choice Specs boosted Surf. It gets a critical hit to one-shot the Arcanine, but I don't think the critical hit mattered. Rhydon falls to a quad super effective Stab, Choice Specs boosted Surf, and Gyarados comes out next. I have to pivot because of the Choice Specs, so Hans comes out as Gyarados goes for Dragon Dance. We then swap Anna back in, who gets hit with a nasty little return, but Gyarados just goes for another Dragon Dance, so a quad super effective Specs boosted Thunderbolt takes it out. leaving just Blue's Pidgeot, which falls to a Specs boosted Thunderbolt the very next turn. That was a very intense battle. As I said before, outside of Mount Silver, this is where we could get a final ice encounter, Sneasel. I don't think it's worth going through all of the process to get this Pokemon and train it. And then who would we replace on the team? Which one of these invaluable members would get replaced? None. We're going to try to beat this entire game with this team. With getting the Expert Belt and equipping it to Anna, we have nothing else to do but take on the ultimate challenge, Red, on top of Mount Silver. He leads Pikachu, and I lead the Choice Scarf boosted Olaf. This means we outspeed the Pikachu and can fire off a stab super effective Earthquake that does one-shot the little mouse into oblivion. This breaks out the Blastoise, so I swap into Duke, who gets hit with a Focus Blast on the swap and doing a ton of damage. That's a little bit annoying. I fire off a Seed Bomb, doing just over half of Blastoise's health with the help of Chip from Hail, but unfortunately this is where Duke falls to a Blizzard from Blastoise. I probably could have saved that Pokemon, but hey, this is the last battle in the game. We swap in Elsa, who cleans it up with an Energy Ball, and out next is Charizard. I swap into Hans on a Flare Blitz, does a decent amount of damage to us, but the chip damage from Hail and the recoil from Flare Blitz help Hans take out the Charizard with a follow-up Surf. Venusaur comes out next, so I pivot into Elsa, who tanks a Giga Drain fairly well, and then can fire off a stab super effective Ice Beam, one-shotting the Venusaur. Snorlax is out next, so I swap into Olaf. We avoid the crunch because of our Snow Cloak on the swap in. That's absolutely amazing. We then fire off a Superpower, and this takes forever for the health bar to tick down, and it stops on a sliver of health. We then get hit with a 100% accurate Blizzard that doesn't do much damage, and then the Hail Chip takes out Snorlax. This just leaves Red's Lapras, so I decide for a mirror match and swap in Anna, who takes a Brine on the swap in very well. We can then fire off a Thunderbolt that does well over half of Lapras's health. We tank a Psychic on 248 HP, 240 HP, and then fire off another Thunderbolt, taking out the Lapras, winning us a very easy Red battle. And that's it. That's our team making it through the entirety of the Gen 4 remakes of Pokemon Gold and Silver. We did lose Duke there, and as I said, that was an easily avoidable loss. I just wanted him to do something in the last battle. Kristoff, I think, would have gotten taken out as well, which is why I didn't swap him into anything, but nonetheless, the team did very well, making it through the entirety of the game. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, you know the routine. Like, comment, subscribe. I've got to get this thing edited, so for now, that is it for me, and I will see you on the next one.